I would like to talk to you about something. I know that I might look a little bit sleepy and like I've been crying, but that's because I'm sleepy and I've been crying. But I want to not feel performative right now and wait for the right time and just bring back old school YouTube vibes, just spur of the moment, sitting down, talking to you. I miss those vibes. I am sitting on a yoga bolster on my bed like this. Just in case you were wondering. I've been doing a lot of thinking today because I've been really tired and emotional, and that's usually when the big thoughts can't seem to stop, which is the most inconvenient time to have big thoughts because I have no capacity to hold them, which is exactly the loop that I was in today. I have had a really rough couple of months. If I haven't told you at this point and you aren't up to date, I had a migraine for like 2 months. I was in the hospital. I was in the dark for a really long time. Literally, I mean that. And I've never been this sick before. I lost a lot of weight. I've gained some back, but if I look different, that's why. Before that happened, I had a realization that a lot of my burnout symptoms had come back. And in 2023, I had a really big burnout, and that kind of started or was initiated with a status migraine that lasted 2 weeks. And at the time, I didn't know that that was what it was because the doctor was like, you can't have a migraine for more than 3 days. And I was like, okay, but why am I still feeling exactly the way I did a couple days ago then? Apparently, you can have a migraine that lasts longer. This one wasn't 2 months consecutively, but it was 2 long ones back to back. We're not going to get into it. It's not the point of the video. But it is significant to me that last time it was kind of the marker of when it all started. And now I had that realization and lights went out for a long time. So I feel like my body is trying to tell me a lot of things again. And I have just been having a lot of thoughts about how YouTube and making ASMR videos played a role in the way that I'm feeling now. I run an ASMR channel. 2 days ago we hit 100,000 subscribers, which I'm very, very proud of and excited about and grateful for. And it's made me reflect a lot these past weeks because I knew it was coming up, you know? I started my channel right after I had that first status migraine 3 years ago. It was the beginning of my burnout. While I was in the dark, I was really thinking I want to do something creative, and I'd been considering making a video for a long time. And then after the migraine was over, I was so excited to finally do something with the ideas that I had. And so I made a video, and I'm very glad that I did because I would not be here with my 100,000 subscribers and new passions and hobbies if it weren't for that moment. However, I got really, really passionate about it, and I was still deep in burnout. And what I now realized was happening at the time was that passion did get kind of mixed up with finding something to do and putting my energy towards something, but that energy, I didn't really have a lot of that. And so the energy that I did have, I would put towards those videos, and nothing would kind of be left over, if that makes sense. And, you know, it gave me a lot of energy as well. It was great. And then stuff happened around my job because I was on sick leave for so long. And suddenly this kind of like happened simultaneously, but I started making money from YouTube the moment that my contract ended. So I was unemployed and sick and living with my parents. And then I had my ASMR channel, so I saw an opportunity and I took it. And I started putting a lot of time and effort into my videos and created a source of income. Now that's all great, but I wasn't recovered, and I was just kind of forcing myself sometimes to make content, and I was thinking about it all the time and starting a business basically while I was burnt out. And I really didn't realize that that was a little bit detrimental at the time because it felt so good. I was like, this is passion. But passion isn't supposed to drain you. And it did. It did. And I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to see it. I was pointing at all these other things. And I have since, moved out and moved back home with my parents, and I got a part-time job and I was balancing ASMR videos, and now that migraine happened and I put myself on sick leave again, but from YouTube as well. And I'm only uploading when it really feels like I want to create something and there's no rush. We'll get to that. But I feel like there's been a real pipeline of burnout to creating videos to burnout again to slowing down. And it's been very interesting, this switch, because I feel like I got out of this migraine these past 2 months with a very new perspective, and it's very confronting. It's good, but it's confronting. I did realize every time I would make a video, how could I encourage someone else to relax when I am not relaxed? So there are no videos on my channel that I don't fully support or where I was really not feeling good enough to film and I forced myself to anyway. I was always pretty okay at finding the time and space to film, but the pace that I was doing it in, I was spending energy that I didn't have. It's like spending money that you don't have. That catches up to you. So I'm realizing that, and I feel shame around admitting all of this because I, talked about my burnout on this channel and about recovery, and my biggest fear is that anyone would ever think that I am preachy or that I am a know-it-all or whatever other misconceptions people could have. It's not my intention to come across as that, but because I had spoken about my burnout, talked about my recovery and realizations and reflections and everything, to now be like, hey, it's actually happening again. And I think that this thing that I'm really passionate about is actually the cause of that. And actually part of the cause of me never having even fully recovered in the first place. Because I dove right into it, just as I was feeling exhausted. And it was fun, but not sustainable. In the back of my mind, I've had many, many times where I was still thinking about YouTube on days off or when I took a break or whatever. And I realized that slowing down feels a lot better. One of the other things outside of this migraine that made me realize that was reading Lord of the Rings. It's gonna sound silly, but bear with me. I started reading that in October. I started with The Hobbit, and all throughout the past 4 or 5 months, pretty much all I've been reading is Lord of the Rings. When I got into reading was also the time that I was really into ASMR, and I was reading so much. I read so much in 2023, it's crazy. And there's nothing crazy about reading a lot, there's nothing crazy about not reading a lot, but I do feel like it reflects where I was at mentally, that I was just going and going and going back to back, like finish the last page of my last book, the next one's already open, no breaks, no pause, no time to digest, no slowness. And reading Lord of the Rings, and I also feel this way when I'm in a phase where I read a lot of classics. It helps me to slow down a lot. It just made me realize that I prefer it that way because I can immerse myself so much better in what I'm reading and digest it a lot better. And people are going to be like, duh, when they hear this, but I wasn't conscious of it. And that is exactly what chronic stress will do to your body. I mean, I still remember 99% of the books that I've read. I could still tell you about the plot. I did still, thoroughly enjoy them, and it's not the most horrible thing or anything, but I just realized that rushed feeling, that sense of hurry that I felt before I fell into my burnout, that I was struggling so much, that kind of kept happening in my burnout, but it showed itself in such subtle ways, in that I was restless and rushed in my hobbies, and that I was reading really fast and reading a lot, and just ugh. And another thing where this really showed for me was in making music. I started creating things on the internet when I started making music covers, and I would put them on Ultimate Guitar, and then I grew followers, and it was really exciting because it was all people with this same interest, and they would give me compliments and feedback, and it was so fun. And then I started putting it on my Instagram, and before I knew it, I would hear a song, learn a minute and a half of that song, and then pretty much immediately grab my phone to record a cover. And then the next hour or so I was spending on, the lighting and making sure I looked good, and my facial expressions and whatever, and then struggling to get through the recording because I didn't even know the song that well. I was just rushing to get something out because I liked the kick of putting it on the internet and sharing it with people, and it was all under the impression that I had for myself of like, I just really want to share this with people. But honestly, it gave me confidence, it gave me compliments, it gave me validation, and when I stopped doing covers on Instagram, I kind of just stopped making music. I'm saying that with these 3 guitars behind me. I barely touch them right now. And when I do, it's for me. And it feels so much better. It feels so much better. Crazy concept. Doing things for you actually feels really good. But I didn't realize it because I had been doing that for years, since I was 18 or something. It was an old habit. And old habits die hard. And I just noticed it in so many things that I was doing it in, and that was just crazy to me. Even when I go to the toilet, I'm like rushing to pee. I'm like forcing it out as if it's not gonna come out. I'm sorry if that's too much information, but that's just also an area in my life where I was like, I'm rushing through things. Why? I'm so used to it, and it makes me sad and frustrated sometimes that it's taking me 3 years to figure all this out, even though I am in therapy and everything, and I do have good therapists. I think that in the first year I just didn't really have the help that I would have needed. But I do also think that, things happen for reasons, things happen in their own timelines. Maybe I would have never made the channel if I hadn't been to a specific therapist. I actually know I wouldn't, because I had a physical therapist who really motivated me. And I wouldn't be here, and I'm grateful. But at the same time, I'm feeling more lost than I've ever felt. I have no idea what I want with my life. I now did the YouTube viewing it as a job thing. I don't think that that's for me in the long run. I mean, I knew it wasn't for me in the long run, but it has to stay a hobby. It has to stay inconsistent and whenever I want, and it taking time and uploading maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, maybe 3 days in a row, just intuitive. I miss feeling intuitive about being creative because I started putting timelines on everything, because I started attaching money to it, and I had to in the time. And still, YouTube is my only source of income right now, and I am still dealing with burnout, so there's no way that I'm able to work, and that makes me sad and frustrated and afraid of the future, but I'll figure it out. I always do, and I'm not the only one. And I'm not going to be living with my parents forever. This is temporary. I'm trying to tell myself all these things. I just realized that my YouTube channel and the way that I stumbled into YouTube as a job is burning me out again. And I'm trying to let go of the guilt and shame that I feel around that, because I'm just afraid, I think, of the comments. The reason that I'm choosing to upload this is because I wanted to capture the moment without my ego getting in the way, and I hope that this might help one of you who is in a similar situation or who's bummed out from setbacks or whatever it may be. Recovery isn't linear. That's a part of life, and I'm learning more to be okay with that. While I'm talking about feeling sad and frustrated about all this, I'm also kind of relieved, because in my heart, my core values, I believe that art takes time and expression can take time, and I wasn't giving myself the time anymore to create. That makes me less proud of the things that I create. Everything that, like I said before, everything that is on YouTube and on the internet, I'm still proud of and I agree with, etc. But it's just, I would like to be able to take more time, and that comes from within. So yeah, just for anyone who is feeling rushed or has been going through the same thing and is in a similar spot where they feel like they're going back in a loop, I think that that's part of it all, and I'm trying not to put blame on myself, because you can't perfectly recover from a burnout. It's also something that I learned very early on. I realized that I was trying to optimize the way that I was recovering and putting even more limits on myself. Like, and I'm going to walk every day and I'm going to do this every day. All that was doing was give me stress. And now I'm finally again at a point where I can let go of everything and then slowly adding things in again. But not out of that I have to place, but out of that I want to and I can. And that feels better. Do with that what you will. So, Happy New Year. And I'll see you when I see you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Here's a forehead kiss. Bye.